Hello there guys, welcome back to another maths video. In this video we're looking at Markov's inequality, which is one of the most famous and foundational inequalities in probability theory. So Andrei Markov was a mathematician. He was born in the 1850s. He's a Russian guy. He's come up with this inequality. So if x is a non-negative random variable, then the probability that x is greater than or equal to some value a is less than or equal to the expected value of x divided by a. So what this is saying is we can bound the probability that x, the random variable, takes a value greater than or equal to some number. We can bound it from above by the random variable's own mean or its own expected value. And that's true for any value of a that you want. So at the end, we're going to look at an example. But first of all, let's actually derive this because it does seem a little bit strange. So let's break this down into two cases. Let's look at when our random variable is a discrete random variable, and then let's look at when it's continuous and prove this inequality in both cases. So let's begin in the discrete case. I'm going to start with the expected value of x. Now we know by the definition of what this is for a discrete random variable that we can write this as the sum over the entire probability space. So that's every value of x bigger than or equal to 0 that this thing can take. Remember, x is a non-negative random variable. So x is greater than or equal to 0 here of x times the probability that the random variable is equal to little x. Okay, so that is the definition of the expectation of a discrete random variable. Now what we can do is start saying that this thing is bigger than stuff. So I'm going to say this is bigger than or equal to the sum from, I'm going to say x is bigger than or equal to a, where we already said a is greater than 0, and that's going to be the same thing. So x times the probability that the random variable equals little x. Hopefully we agree that the thing on the left is bigger than the thing on the right because there's more stuff to add up on the left. And remember, x is positive. So every term, every x times the probability that the random variable equals x, they're all positive. So hopefully we agree on this inequality. We can then even go further and we can say this is bigger than or equal to the sum over every x bigger than or equal to a, not of x times the probability, but of a times the probability. The reason why this is true is because x is increasing, right? We're adding up over, maybe it's the natural numbers, right? Maybe x is, let's say 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5, etc. If we say we're summing over every value of x bigger than or equal to a, but we're not doing x times the probability, we're doing a times the probability, it's fixed. So for every value of x that's actually bigger than a, this thing here on the left is going to be bigger than this thing here on the right. For example, if a is the number 2, then on the left, you've got the sum over x is bigger than or equal to 2 of x times the probability. So that's going to be, for example, 2 times the probability that x is equal to 2, 3 times the probability that x is equal to 3, 4 times the probability that x is equal to 4. But on the right, you're going to have 2 times the probability that x is 2, plus 2 times the probability that x is 3, plus 2 times the probability that x is 4. That's less, right? Because it's just simply less. The probabilities are positive. You're doing a smaller number times the probabilities each time. That's the logic. Now what we can do is we can move this thing around. So we can take the a outside of the sum and say this is equal to a times the sum over x bigger than or equal to a of just the probability that x is equal to little x, just about fitting that in there. But guys, what is this? This is just the probability. This is a times the probability that x is bigger than or equal to a, right? Because that's basically the definition of what that is. It's the cumulative distribution function there for x greater than or equal to a. So hopefully you can see what this sort of chain of inequalities has done. On the left-hand side, we have the expected value of x. On the right-hand side, we have a times the probability that x is bigger than or equal to a. So I can conclude that the expected value of x is bigger than or equal to a times the probability that x is bigger than or equal to a. And then we can obviously just rearrange this by dividing both sides by a, and we're going to arrive at Markov's inequality. So we've proven that it works for any value of a that's greater than 0, of course, and it works for any discrete random variable. Now let's look at continuous random variables. As you might expect, we're going to do the exact same thing, but continuous random variables, their expectations, are defined in terms of an integral. So we have the expected value of x for a continuous random variable. This is equal to the integral, and remember, x is always greater than or equal to 0 in Markov's inequality. So it's the integral from 0 to infinity of the probability density function times x. So it's x times the probability density function, f sub x of x, like this, okay? So this is where f sub capital X of x is the probability density function. This is what the expectation of a continuous random variable is defined to be. And it's normally from minus infinity to infinity here. But in this case, we're saying that x is never negative. So that's why we're allowed to go from 0 to infinity. In the exact same fashion as with the discrete case, we can also bound this thing by another integral. So we can say instead, I'm going to go from a to infinity, not from 0 to infinity. And again, a is a number bigger than 0. So this has to be less. So x times f sub x of x, like this. Why does this have to be less? Because x has to be positive. The probability density function has to be 0 or positive, and a is bigger than 0. So we're integrating the same thing that's always positive over a smaller region. So it is smaller. Okay, then we can continue. We can say this is bigger than or equal to the integral from a to infinity of a times f sub x of x dx. Okay, and the exact same reason follows again. And then we can factor the a to the outside. So this is equal to a times the integral from a to infinity of just the probability density function, like this. And again, it's the exact same argument. The integral from a to infinity of the probability density function is just the probability that the random variable capital X is bigger than or equal to a. That's the idea, and we still have that a that was on the outside. So we have the exact same inequality once again. We have that the expected value of the random variable is bigger than or equal to a times the probability that x is bigger than or equal to a. And again, just by dividing both sides by a non-zero positive number, we do indeed get Markov's inequality. That's where it comes from. So it's true for continuous random variables, it's true for discrete random variables. Now let's look at an example of how you would actually use this. So let's say that x is a random variable that has a binomial distribution with parameters n and 1/2. You could think about this as tossing a fair coin n times and x counting the number of, let's say, heads that you get. Maybe we want to come up with some sort of expression about the sort of likelihood or the probability that x takes a value bigger than something, right? So there's lots of ways you can go about this. There's no question that's necessarily being asked, but let's just experiment with Markov's inequality. So I'm going to write down Markov's inequality again. Let's say hypothetically we would like to know what the probability is that x takes a value bigger than or equal to, let's say, 3/4n. Okay, so in the context of this question, what I'm saying, if we do want to look at the coin toss analogy, what's the probability that I get more heads than 3/4n or equal to 3/4n? That means what's the probability that I get heads 75% of the time or more? That's what I'm asking. Or at least, can I bound that probability? Maybe that probability is quite difficult to get, but maybe can I find an upper bound for what that probability is? I know it might sound complicated because I'm sort of saying x is bigger than something and the probability is less than something, but it's okay. The probability that x is bigger than or equal to 3/4n, can we say that I don't know what that probability is, but it's less than or equal to something? And the answer is yes, we can. We can use Markov's inequality. So what we can say about it is we can say that it's less than or equal to the expected value of x, which for a binomial it's np, divided by a, and in this question we're using a to be 3/4 n, like this. And of course we can simplify this and the n's cancel out here, and we've got a half divided by 3/4, and that's going to give us, if we times the top and the bottom by 4, that's going to give us 2/3. So it's not a very interesting answer. Maybe you would guess that, yeah, the probability that you toss a coin n times and get heads 75% of the time or more is less than 2/3. Like, obviously, yeah. I mean, it should probably be quite a lot less than a half, not, let alone 2/3. But that's an example of Markov's inequality and how you would use it. What's really interesting, if we go away from this binomial sort of thing, just look at Markov's inequality in and of itself. It's actually saying something really interesting, at least I find it interesting, because we don't really know very much about the random variable at all, besides the fact that it can't be negative. And we can still say quite powerful things about the random variable. We can say that the probability that it takes a value bigger than or equal to 20, for example, without knowing anything else except its mean, has to be less than or equal to its mean divided by 20. And that's true for any positive number a, not just 20. I think that's really cool. Now, the reason that I use this binomial example over here is to show you a sort of limitation of Markov's inequality. You can clearly see for this specific question, it's rubbish. And actually, there are lots of other concentration inequalities like Markov's inequality that are much, much more powerful, and they're able to do a lot more. So it's a kind of big thing in maths, in probability theory, in statistics, bounding probabilities from above. Because it's often very difficult to find exact probabilities for complicated situations, you can use these, what you call concentration inequalities, to at least bound the probabilities and say, I'm not sure what the probability that x is bigger than or equal to 3/4n actually is, but I know that it's less than or equal to 2/3. And of course, you can come up with more powerful things than this, as I say. But stay tuned for those. We're going to look at things like Chebyshev's inequality, the Chernoff inequality, Hefting's inequality, and so on and so forth in the future. And they kind of get progressively better at this. But Markov's inequality, incredibly important thing. As always, thank you for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff if you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
That's just another way to say that I'm the best math rapper in the game today. It might sound vain, but it's just how I feel. And baby, I'm just trying to keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. That's why Gowan was in deep trouble with the law. He threatened government officials countless times and had been arrested even more. Was it them that got him? Was it someone else? Reality is we'll probably never know whose cruel hand that day had dealt. Mathematically analytical but also political. Why do you think Gowan's death became so historic?